Hello there, and happy, what day it is? I'm so lost. I think it's Thursday. Yes. Happy Thursday. I am so super thrilled to have an opportunity to come have this conversation with you today, all about the difference between dream builders and fantasizers. I'm not exactly certain what category you currently fit in, but after today's conversation, it is my hope that everyone watching the live will be able to determine exactly what category they fit in. That's dream builder or fantasizer, because there are core characteristics of each category. And so, without any further ado, I would just like to take the opportunity to introduce myself to folks who may be joining for the very first time, who may not know who I am. Just want to share a tiny bit because it is a whole lot. Like, oftentimes when I get asked who I am, I have to try to figure out which lane I'm going to represent. And so, first and foremost, I just want to say that I am a woman who was initially broken by pain, but converted that pain into fuel that now powers me. I am a certified public speaker, a five-time published author. I'm a personal and professional development mentor slash coach. I'm a mother of two adult children. Yes, believe it or not, two adult children. I'm a nana, which I think is my most favorite role at this exact time. And I love the beach, just something ultra, ultra personal. I absolutely love the beach. Now, I don't necessarily love the water. I am not a huge fan of getting in the ocean, especially after I watch Jaws, right? So I'm always on the lookout for sharks. So as much as I love the beach, I stay safely on the shore or sitting right on the edge of the water. But it's not so much being in the water that fascinates me. It is more so listening to the waves crash on the shore. It is all about being connected to nature, which makes me feel like I am connected to the one who created me. As people look at my life today, particularly my website or my social media pages, they may have the impression that I have it all together. They may have the impression that life is good. And that's the thing about social media. People post things, and other people get to make assumptions about what that person's life is about. But I want to let you know that I have some very successful moments, and I do have some moments where I'm like, girl, why exactly did you do that? So it's really a mixture, and I do my best to share that mixture in social media. But as perfect as it looks, my life wasn't always perfect. And today I'm not going into the story of my struggle or my net debt experience. I'll save that for another opportunity, because today I really want to talk about how to take ownership and what those characteristics look like of someone who takes ownership of their lives. Now, before we even begin to take ownership of our lives, there are four things that we need to do. And I really hope that tonight, the information that I share with you helps you to, if nothing else, think about where you are today and where you want to be in the future. And as we go along our conversation tonight, if anything resonates with you, please drop it in the comment field. Let's have a dialogue about the information that I'm sharing. But the four things that we really need to know as we think about stepping into ownership and stop fantasizing, or we may be taking a degree of ownership uh, but want to deepen it, right? So there are four things that we need to do. The first thing is we have to do an assessment. We have to really identify where we currently are. And this is difficult because in reality, most people are not so fond of looking at themselves and being introspective. It's easier to look at other people, see what other people are doing, give other people advice, but it's so much harder to turn the mirror on ourselves. But it's an important component of stepping into ownership. So we have to identify where we are, and then we have to identify where we want to go. If we want to take ownership, what are we taking ownership of? So that's also important for us to identify. And once we've identified where we are, where we want to go, we need to then figure out, how do I move forward? And this is where a lot of people get stuck. a lot of people get stuck in trying to figure out, how do I move forward with my goals, with my plans, with my dreams? A lot of people have those dreams spinning around in their heads like over and over and over again, and are stuck at that point of knowing what they want, but not being sure about how to get it. Other people are stuck because the vision is so big and the goal is so big that it becomes overwhelming. But we have to figure out, how do we move forward, create and plot a plan for us to move forward. And finally, the next thing that we have to figure out is if we're willing to consistently do the work that we need to do to get us from where we are to where we need to be. Consistency is key. And building a consistent momentum takes time and it takes effort. There's no easy journey to taking ownership. There's no easy journey to achieving your goals. And so, those are the four things that we have to focus on when we talk about moving into ownership. That's identifying where we are, identifying where we want to go, identifying how to move forward, and be willing to do the work consistently. Earlier I told you that I won't share a lot of my story with you tonight because the core focus is on really taking ownership. I do, however, want to share with you that that day that I sat on my bathroom floor contemplating my life, I had no idea how I would change the trajectory of my life. But when I got up off my bathroom floor after making the decision to live, 2 days later, a business executive approached me to ask me to mentor me, which always reinforces to me that when we are ready to take ownership, when we're ready to move forward in our lives, the help that we need materializes, and it is now up to us to embrace the help as it comes. And so we can embrace help as a way to move from where we are to where we want to go. In my book, actually on page 10 of my book, Sister Stand Up Again, which is a woman's guide to reclaiming her power, I share that the truest form of freedom is really living the life that you love authentically. Just being free to be who you are. Like, what would it feel like if you were able to just be free to be? However, like, we are conditioned by society to do so many things. Society has said to us that we need to finish school, go to college, get married, have a child, have a second child. Like, society has dictated like what we should be doing and the measurements that we should be achieving at certain points in our lives. So if we're 30 and we're not married, there's this pressure to get married. If we're 30 and we don't have kids, we don't want people to be thinking about if we can't have kids. So society places this pressure on us to become something that society wants us to be. And that shifts us from being authentic in who we truly want to be. Some people are in careers because society has said that this is the type of career where people can be successful, and that's not the type of career that you can enter if you want to be successful. So society has done this great job of brainwashing us. Not only has society's rules, stipulations caused us to make decisions that are not authentic to who we are, friends and family, and what will people think are also reasons why we're not living authentic lives. When we get to the place where we can truly be who we want to be, when we don't care about what people think or say, or we don't really care about whatever their thoughts are about what we want for our lives, that is like a high level of freedom. And that's the place where we need to be, the place where we understand that this is who I am today. And because this is who I am today, doesn't necessarily mean that that's who I will be for the rest of my life. But this is who I am today. I embrace him, I embrace her, and I will nurture her to become who it is that I want her to be in the future, being authentic to who we are. And I see Domi is saying that this is so true, right? So we have society, we have our families, and then we have the church coming behind with all of the dialogue about what a true Christian should look like. And they tell us a lot about what Christianity is. And contrary to what they say, live a different lifestyle. And it can become so confusing So we're confused about what should we be doing? What is that? And that's why we have to take the opportunity to go inward to our spirit man, to develop our spirit man, and to see exactly what the guides are there for us. The Bible is a guide for believers. Other people may have other beliefs, but as a believer, the Bible is my guide. And so we have to look to see what it truly says. Are what we being fed in church really what the word of God says and what a true kingdom citizen should look like? I see Yolanda is saying amen. So society, family, friends, religion, they have all conditioned us to show up in forms other than our authenticity. And when we do that, some things happen. And I don't have time today. I'm going to do another teaching on these 4 reasons why people aren't identifying their dreams and go deeper into it. But very surface level, the 4 common reasons why people are not identifying or pursuing their dreams are disappointment about life generally, discouragement about things that may have happened in life, lack of confidence, and we end up settling after having experience after experience after experience. We may decide that we are just going to settle for the next best thing. Now, you heard those 4 things. Which of them do you believe people struggle with most? Type it in the comments for me. Which of those 4 things do you believe people, and let's say women specifically, struggle with more? Is it disappointment? Is it discouragement? Is it lack of confidence, or is it settling? Because all of those things prevent us from really being authentic in our dreams, authentic in our actions, and they prevent us from taking ownership of our lives. Because when we live in ownership, it's a totally different lifestyle than if we lived as a fantasizer. So let me know which of those 4 things, disappointment, discouragement, lack of confidence, or settling, which of those do you believe is the number one reason why people aren't pursuing their dreams and their goals? And now we are at the point where we talk about ownership tonight. And this is so exciting for me because truly it is invigorating. It is passion. I see Yolanda is saying disappointment. Thank you for that, sis. I appreciate you. Disappointment may be the number one. And so, Yolanda, when we live in authenticity, when we are taking ownership of our lives, like our lives are so much happier. We're not bogged down in a bunch of crap. Like we're not bogged down in the weight of opinions of others, and we're not bogged down on jobs that are just sucking the life out of us. We're not chasing men or women who are abusing us. We're understanding that it's okay to be alone. It's okay to separate. That we don't have to be shackled because we're taking ownership. So let's talk about what ownership looks like. The very first thing you will feel when you know that you've taken ownership of your life is that the decisions that you make will feel right to you. Have you ever made a decision and you knew it wasn't the right one for you? How did it make you feel inside? You made a decision, and that decision is not the right decision for you, but you have to live it out every day. It is depressing. It is sad. It gives anxiety because we know that we're not happy. When we are in ownership of our lives, we know that the decisions that we make are in our best interest. So it feels right to us. The second thing is it provides us with a lift. It's like we have wings to fly because it gives our spirit this ability to soar. We have this inner light. We have this inner joy because now we're doing what makes us happy. We're living the life that we've always imagined for ourselves. We've freed ourselves from the shackles of the past, from the shackles of society, from the shackles of friends and family and fake religion. Like so because we've released ourselves from all of the things that may bind us or bound us, we now have the opportunity to feel like we're lifted up. And so that's feel right to you, provide you you with your wings. Now, let's talk about these next two things because this has happened to me so much. One is that when you take ownership of your life, it fires you up. Like people say, how do you do all the things that you do? It's because I'm on fire, sis. It's because I am on fire, bro. Whenever that download comes into me to say, okay, this is your assignment. It fires me up to now to begin to think in a creative way. How am I going to accomplish this? What are the tools that I need? Who are the people that I need? What experience is it that I'm trying to create? It fires me up so much that it moves into the next point. It keeps me up at night dreaming. Oh, I cannot tell you of how many times I've been working on a project that I am so passionate about, so much so that my mind is racing about how I am going to accomplish this. Even when I should be sleeping at night, I am thinking I have to get up, I have to write the notes down, I have to get it out of my head, empty my head so that I can lay down in bed and rest. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. But I want to tell you that the most recent experience with that was in June of this year when I was creating an experience called I Stand With Her. It was a celebration breakfast for breast cancer survivors in the GD Caring and Sharing Cancer Support Group with breast cancer survivors throughout Nassau or the Bahamas, because we had some people that were there, I think from Andros and someone from Eleuthera. But that fired me up because it's a huge passion of mine to help transform the minds of people who look at cancer as a death sentence and let them see that there's so much to celebrate in life. Like, yes, there was a struggle. Yes, there was a journey, but we came through, and there are lessons that we can get from that. It built our spirits. It gave us a passion to live life in a different way. And so when you take ownership of your life, you now feel that passion. You feel like it's just firing you up inside because you want to execute it in such an excellent way. And I dare say that every person that attended that breakfast got the experience that was created on paper first. And so it keeps you up at night dreaming about what it is that you're going to do. I don't know what business it is that you're thinking about opening, or if you're currently in the business now as a hobby, but because you need your full-time job to pay for your dream job right at this moment. And you're working in your hobby and you're passionate about your hobby, wishing that you can move from your full-time job to step into this hobby and monetize it. I want to let you know that your dreams are possible. It is possible to let your meantime experience, your career, your work, because it's not your career, the thing that you're using to pay your bills, also help you to build your dream. And there's a whole plan that we can go through on how to take funds that you're using to pay for your life to help you pay for your dreams as well. And when you begin to invest in your dreams, when you begin to take some of your money and isolate it to make that dream a reality of stepping into your business full time or expanding your hobby or whatever it is, the momentum starts to build up because now you're taking action, which leads me to my next point. When you take ownership of your life, you are definitely outside of your comfort zone. That's what I'm talking about, Yolanda. I see that. Yes. Yes, Jackie, I see that. Yes, there too, right? So when we're inside our comfort zones, we are complacent. Whenever we're not growing, we've gotten complacent, we've gotten comfortable. And comfortable is an okay place if you don't have big dreams. If you have big dreams, it requires that you step outside of comfort and into your stretch zone. Having big goals, having big dreams means that when you're sitting comfortable, you know that something is wrong. Because yes, you may have achieved a sense of accomplishment, you may have gotten to a particular point and you're celebrating that. And I encourage you to celebrate every milestone. I see Jackie is saying great sense. I encourage you to celebrate every single milestone along the journey. As you're celebrating, though, recognize your growth and how your growth is helping you to continue to advance. The more you're exposed to, the more you know, the more you grow. Now, let me ask this question of you, and I really want you to answer me, okay? Have you ever ever worked for a leader who thought that they were at the pinnacle of success? And because they're at the pinnacle of success, they don't need to grow anymore? Well, I want to clue you in on a secret. If you've worked with a leader who believes that they're at the pinnacle of success and they don't have to grow anymore, they are stagnant and they are sitting in their comfort zones. Now, I know you guys are smart. So I want to give you this illustration. If you take water and put it in a bucket outside and leave it in that bucket, comfortable in that bucket for 3 weeks. Tell me in the comments, please. Tell me what you start to see happening in that water, because the water is in the bucket, it's comfortable, it's in a vessel, it's just sitting there. There's no movement, there's no action. What are some of the things that you believe start to happen in that bucket? And I'm hoping to see you answer some of these questions in the comments, right? Because if you take water and you put it in a bucket and you place that bucket outside and that there's no movement in that bucket, here's what happens. The water gets stale. What lets you know the water is stale? It starts to stink, baby. Have you ever smelled water that's been sitting in a vessel for weeks? It stinks. Apart from stinking, it starts to get slimy. It starts to grow this film on top, this nasty. Yes, Yolanda is there. Yolanda is saying the water starts to smell. Absolutely. And so you have this sliminess also growing on. Is that green moss or something that starts to grow in it? It's not good. It's creating this odor. Sometimes you start to see insects hatching in this water as well. So the water gets stink. And so leaders who decide that they're no longer going to grow because they have gotten to the place of vice president or president, and that's the highest they could get in that company, they start to stink. And when they start to stink, their entire team, everyone underneath them, starts to become rotten because every single thing rises and falls on leadership. And that includes self-leadership. So when it comes to taking ownership of your dreams and coming out of your comfort zone, it requires self-leadership to stretch outside of your comfort. It means that you're growing. It means that you're doing something else. And growth could be small things. Growth, I see Jackie is saying true. Jackie is saying, yes, this is true. And we think that growth may mean getting a college degree, but that's not true. We may think that growth means that we may do a certification. We may be thinking that growth means something massive when it doesn't have to be. And I see Jackie is saying grow, 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 grow. But can I clue you in on a secret? Growth could be reading a book, even a romance novel. It's stimulation of the brain. Growth could be getting engrossed in involved in a hobby that causes you to think. Growth could be going camping. Growth, Jackie is saying absolutely. Jackie, I'm so glad you're here agreeing with me. Growth could be going horseback riding. It's a new experience. That's all growth is. Thank you so much for that, Jackie. Growth is purely stimulation of the brain. And guess what? You don't even have to be growing in the area of your expertise. All you have to be doing is continually stimulating your brain. And that requires that you stretch outside of your comfort zone. So if you want to take ownership of your life, it's time to move from comfort complacency and step into stretching yourself, doing things that you wouldn't normally or ordinarily do. People who take ownership of their dreams, they don't sit in victimhood. They're not people who are believing that everything is happening to them and they have no control. And there was a time in my life when I felt that I was a victim. And Yolanda is saying, yes, so true. There was a time in my life when I felt like I was a victim, when I thought that everything that was going on in my life was happening to me and that I had no control. And in reality, we do have control. We give up our power. And that's how come we're not taking ownership. You have to know and believe that every experience in your life has value. Every experience in your life is actually connected. Good, the bad, the ugly, they're all connected. And those experiences are designed to give you lessons that you can use to elevate and reposition yourself in the future. And that requires that you step outside of your comfort zone. And then when we're in ownership, what we do is fulfilling to us. Now, I've worked for bosses that I didn't really like, but I've worked for some bosses who I truly loved, right? And regardless of whether I loved the boss or didn't, what I recognized was when I loved what I was doing, that superseded the feelings that I had for the person that I was reporting to. Because purpose isn't conditional on people. I want you to get this, okay? When you step into purpose, when you start living the life that you were purposed to live, when you start accepting the assignment and the call on your life, it doesn't matter who likes you. It doesn't matter who supports you. It doesn't matter what other people say. Purpose is not conditional on people. Now, we may need people to give us access, but I want you to know today that access and elevation comes from a power that's so much higher than people. Access comes from a much higher source. God elevates. God promotes. God will advance you in rooms. God will give you opportunities that you didn't even know exist once you are aligned with his purpose and once you are aligned with the assignment that he has for your life. And I see Yolanda is saying this so true. Oh my goodness. And I want you to know that right in this moment, I'm doing my best not to preach to you. I want you to know that that boss that irritates you, I want you to know that that friend that's irking you, I want you to know that the people that you believe are blocking you are all a part of the assignment to bring you into the fulfillment of your purpose. Challenges are nothing more than opportunities that we get to go to the master to talk about. How do I open this door? How do I move this wall? What do I do? We cannot think that people will advance us. When we take ownership, we step into purpose. We understand that we can be authentic in who we are as long as we represent the true master, as long as we live the values and the principles of a believer, the true principles of a believer. And we have the example of the greatest and highest leader ever to follow. And I just want to remind you that he came for a purpose. And for those of you who are believers, you know that his purpose was for the redemption of mankind. And there were people who opposed him. There were people who denied him. His own circle denied him. There were people who tried to block him. There were people who tested him. There were people who came up against him. But I want you to know that he never, ever, ever stepped outside of the values of who he determined he was. He never changed his values because of opposition or people. He stayed true to the fulfillment of his purpose, and it filled him up inside. When we are in ownership of our assignment, when we are in ownership of our purpose, we are fulfilled inside of us. We're not driven by money. We're not driven to make the next big buck because we know that every single need will be met because we are living in purpose. Every single need will be met when we are living in true purpose, in alignment with he who gave us the assignment to fulfill on this earth. And I see Miss Judy is saying, yes, he will. Challenges are truly opportunities. And Yolanda is saying, amen. But guys, I want y'all to know that sometimes when I come on this live, the spirit just takes me over and I start to just preach. And that's really not what I came on to do. But as the spirit guides, as it leads, I am obedient. And so I'm wrapping up our live with my final point about taking ownership. When you take ownership of your life, you feel like you were made to do it. I am so privileged and so grateful that I was born to do the thing that I am doing. But beyond that, not just that I was born to do it, but that I get to actually do it. Because many of us are born with assignments. Many of us are born with purpose. And truly, many people go to their graves with that same assignment, with that same purpose inside of them. And so because you were born with purpose, doesn't mean that you are going to fulfill that purpose. And it is a blessing when we could step into the role that we have been created for, and it fulfills us inside. We serve this world because we know that it is what we're called to do. We take ownership of our gifts, of our talents, and we use it to bring forth that purpose. When we take ownership of our lives, it is a different type of lifestyle that we're living. Yes, we will face challenges. Yes, there will be disappointments. Yes, there will be roadblocks. Yes, there are going to be moments when you say, I'm into this no more. Because I want you to know that you see this thing, I can make this like my little towel. There have been many times when I threw in the towel and said, listen, I'm into this. I finished with this. This too hard. People aren't being kind. People aren't being supportive. I'm trying. I'm doing all this work. Blah, 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 blah. Getting into victimhood again. My assignment has been given to me by the master, and it is my responsibility to the master only. Nobody else do I have to give an accounting to. But oh, what a feeling. Oh, what joy it is to do the thing that you were called to do. And so, as I close my live today, I want to ask you, have you taken ownership of the gifts, talents, and assignments that have been entrusted to you? Have you truly taken ownership of those gifts, those talents, and the assignment? And I love what Yolanda is saying. Trust God with your yes. Whether you are a believer or not, there's something important to know, that you're not here by happenstance. That you being on this earth isn't just because two people came together and reproduced. Your place on this earth, your position on this earth goes way beyond the fertilization of an egg with sperm. You are here for a reason. And when you discover what that reason is, it will lift you up. When you discover what that reason is, it's going to feel so right to you. It's going to provide wings that make you feel like you fly in. It's going to fire you up. It'll keep you up at night dreaming, writing, dreaming, writing. It's going to take you out of your comfort zone. It's going to fulfill you. And it's going to make you feel like you were born to do this thing. So if you're doing anything today that's not leading you to ownership, that's not making you feel any of those things that I shared with you today, it's time to do some introspection, my brother or my sister. It's time to look inside, to determine who you truly are, what your values are, and to determine and ask what your assignment is so that you can step into it. So, will you step up to the plate and stop living a routine life and begin transitioning to living a life of purpose where you feel like you have ownership of your life? Let me know in the comments if that's a yes or a no, because I want to know if you're going to take some steps towards becoming more in ownership of your life instead of randomly going through life. Thank you for taking the last 30 minutes of your time, spending it with me here. And I hope that some of these nuggets land and plant so that I see those yeses. Yes, I see those yeses. Thank you so much for those yeses. I hope these nuggets inspire you to come out of comfort and stay into stretch zones. Goodbye, everyone.